Good afternoon, my friends. It is Wednesday, my dudes, which means it's time for your weekly specials video. Except things might be a little bit looking a little bit different. Normally there's a background behind me and I do a bit of a green screen motion, but today we're letting you see the background because we've got a color light. I set up the color light triangle today on the wall. I have to say it does look quite nice. I had to turn the brightness right down because it was actually just overwhelming the camera. Like it's very bright. It's very almost retinal scarringly bright. It was even reflecting off my roof. So yeah, as I sort of figure out things around these things, I'll be able to then help you guys with your queries on them. I do have a whole nother kit as well, which is going to be in the studio, and I'm going to be getting some of the light strips to mess with those as well. So I'm going to have quite a lot of color lights in my life, and so I can help you with that. But without further ado, without any gilding of the lily, it's time for a top 10. Alrighty, so for today's top 10, we are going to be attacking the clearance deals specials. So maybe some repeats, very mouse heavy today. So if you are looking for a mouse, I'm going to make 3 suggestions on that. I am going to make an entry/mid-range GPU, and then a really high-end GPU towards the end, some storage as well. There are a couple really nice deals. Starting off with a little honorable mention with this little Thrustmaster. It's just a basic 3-axis with 4 buttons and a trigger, so it's got the basics that you want to see. Point of view hat on the back as well, so it's going to give you really good basics. No twist grip on this, so if you are looking at adding rudder controls, you're probably going to have to use the point of view hat, but this is like a really good little basic joystick. So if you are playing some flight games, you know, maybe some Star Wars Rogue Squadron or something like that, this will be really nice for that. But starting off the top 10 at number 10, there's a glorious wrist rest. This is a full-size pad, so if you are looking at, or if you do have a full-size keyboard, then this is what you look at. $100 is going to get you some comfort and some protection on the wrist by raising it up over the top of the keyboard as well, like that. You are going to prevent some carpal tunneling, which will be good for you, obviously, in the long run. And at number 9, it's a good old Marvo full mechanical RGB keyboard. Not the ultra quality or anything like that, but it is still a mechanical keyboard with full backlighting for $300. If you're going to consider a Mech membrane with backlighting over this, that I think would be a mistake. Having used their 60% keyboard, I can attest to it being worth the money, especially at 300 Rand. These are kind of a steal. At number 8, it's the first of those mouse suggestions. The Arozzi Favo is really badly marketed, but it's actually a really good mouse. This is literally a Model O. It's got the same sensor, it's got the same weight. Actually, they quote the weight as 106, but that includes the cable. If you take out the cable weight, it's 70 grams compared to 69 from the glorious Model O at least. The cable's really nice. It is braided. It has got shielding in it as well. It's very flexible, very, very lightweight. It's got Omron switches. It's got a Pixar 3389. The only thing that's maybe a little bit not premium with this is the software, but it still does everything you need it to do. There is a review of it on the Evetech site if you need to see more, but I can attest to having used this. It's a really good mouse for the money. Coming just ahead of that at number 7, I had to put the MX518. It's $600 right now for one of the best mice of all time. It does have a 32-bit ARM processor in it as well, so you can do some programming and stuff on this and some real customization with the onboard memory. As you can see, you can save up to 5 profiles. It's got the Hero 16K sensor as well, which is really, really good. This is one of the best products that Logitech has ever made, and yeah, sure, it's moved on a little bit. I mean, the weight is a concern there, but it's still really, really good mouse. And if you want something a little bit heavier, some people prefer that, then this is what I would suggest you go for, especially if you're into ergo. Running out the top half at number 6, I had to throw in the Endgame Gear XM1R. There are a few different variants of this. It's got the new 3370 sensor, and it's really, really good. Like, having used this, it is a bit of a flat mouse, which is what made me go not for me. But if you like a flat broad mouse, then this is going to be absolutely perfect for you. 50G acceleration, 400 IPS. It's also got an ARM processor inside of it as well, so you can do some controlling and functions, and the software is pretty damn decent. The lifetime, I mean, they're looking at 80 million clicks with their switches compared to 50 million from the Omron. So this is a very, very good product, and especially at the price point right now, it's just mind-blowing at 500 Rand. This is an ultra premium, ultra high-end mouse for like half price. Breaking into the top half at number 5 though, we move over to some audio with Monster Persona ANC Wireless. This is a really good headset for this kind of money. I think at 1,200 Rand it was already pretty aggressive, but now 900 bucks, you're going to be hard pressed to find a wireless active noise cancelling headset that actually works for this sort of money. There is a full review once again from your boy, attesting to me actually having used it, but it works like really nicely. Like it's I mean, everything was good. Like the only thing I prefer is felt ear cups over this, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was a pretty good weight and stuff, and the feature set that you get with it was all the wireless technology just makes a lot of sense. Now at number 4, it's something I wouldn't normally suggest, but the price point is just kind of disgusting. If you are looking to do some light gaming on 1080p and you want to be able to just run anything on a basic setting at 1080p, then this would be right up your alley. It's not a performance beater, it's not an amazing GPU. Unfortunately, they gimped the memory bus a bit too hard and set it at 64-bit. It's such a pity. This is basically though a laptop GPU. It's RDNA 2 still, but it is basically a laptop GPU with then a bit of a gimped memory support because they didn't want to tear it too closely to the 6600, but they actually missed making a really good product by like that much. But that was at 5 grand, 5.5 grand. Now it's at 4,000 Rand. And at that price point, there's absolutely nothing that can compare. In a joint third spot, it's the 512 E3000. So this is if you just want to have like an OS drive, throw a couple games on there. 512 does go pretty quickly these days, especially if you are looking at doing some gaming on it or editing off of it like I do with my NVMe's. But like I said, as a joint third, the 1 TB is also available for 1399 for Gen 3, for the peak of Gen 3 now. 1,400 Rand for 1 TB NVMe. It's just a really aggressive deal. Hikvisions also come with a 5-year local warranty, so you are going to be, prepared for the future. The only thing with the E3000s is they don't come with any heat sinks or anything like that, so make sure your motherboard has a heat sink so you can get 100% performance from that drive constantly. And in the run-out spot this week is the 6900 XT water-cooled. This on the high end is just not getting enough love. The 16 gig VRAM is really nice to have, especially if you're doing 2K, 4K and in large open world environments, like for instance Space Engineers, where I've been running into VRAM issues with my 8 gig card. My friend has a 6800 OC with his 16 gig card, and so he gets better frame rate with higher settings, literally just because of VRAM. Not all games are core based, some actually do use VRAM. Another good example is Escape from Tarkov. So if you are looking to do big open world environment sort of games, I would suggest this over the 3080, especially at the current price point. This is going to give you performance for free, except with RTX is involved. We know how good the 3000 series are with ray tracing, seeing as they kind of blaze that trail first, obviously. But in any other area, the 6900 XT is going to absolutely thump it. And especially at this price point right now with this specific card, I've actually used this in a review when I did the 12900K, and it blew me away. I was playing Battlefield 2042 at its peak of bad optimization at 4K at 140 frames per second. It's a monster. It's a really powerful GPU. The water cooling, the quality, everything from the ROG Strix is just mind-blowingly good. And staying with ROG Strix in the number 1 spot, it's the new Toyota Taz of the GPU world. It's the 6600 XTOC, 8 gig variant as well. This thing is beautiful at the money. It's basically a 2070 Super plus about 7% on average. So it's a 2070 Super or better constantly. Now at 8,000 Rand is what that's going to cost you. When the 2070 Super launched, it was like 12.5. I know I've got one. So it was a good card when it launched, even for that sort of money, to get access to some entry-level ray tracing and stuff. It could do that. This actually, even with ray tracing, is almost comparable to that. In the 3000 series, you got to look at a 3060 Ti to beat this, which is like another 4 or 5 grand on top. So at the price point right now, there is nothing in market that can compare. And the ROG Strix, we've actually bought one for one of my boys, and it's absolutely fantastic. Runs super silent. RDNA 2 is pretty easy to keep cool, and then ROG does like a 2.5 slot cooler on top of it. Thanks ASUS. Now basically you don't need any fan code, and you're going to get the most out of this GPU at all times. Anywho, that's all I have for you in the top 10 this week. I do have a bunch of audio products which I'm also going to be testing over the little bit. I've just pulled out the new Saramonic mic, which got a red dot designer award moss at the Computex, so I'm actually quite looking forward to using this. I'm assuming that the bass detaches over here. We'll find out, probably, hopefully not the hard way, and see if I can attach it to my boom arm or what actually is going on with this thing. But it's got like pass through and some pretty cool stuff. And Evetech's really expanding their streamer kit, like with Cololight and stuff. So I'm going to be trying to cover as much of those products as humanly possible, so you guys can get streams looking fresh and dandy just the way you like it. Until then though, hope you guys stay safe, keep well, and I will see you on the flip side.